welcome back to another Illuminated Journaling video. Today, I get to introduce you to ClickPrints, the latest product in the Illuminated Journaling product line. Most of you are familiar with our product called One and Dones, which are line art transfer sheets that were designed to help those of us that are, well, let's say maybe a little drawing challenged, to easily add images to the pages of our Bible that we can then color or paint. And now we are releasing ClickPrints. ClickPrints are monthly collections of 8 line art transfer sheets, much like One and Dones, except they come in an electronic format that allows you to download and print them right from your computer. You can purchase each monthly collection of ClickPrints in a couple of ways. The easiest way to get ClickPrints delivered right into your inbox is by monthly subscription. As a monthly subscriber, you save a little bit off of the monthly retail price, and you are guaranteed delivery of each collection via an email on the 10th of each month. The best part is you'll never miss out on any of our new releases because you will receive them automatically. If you prefer to wait and see what images are in each collection, you can do that as well. After a new collection is released on the 10th, you can purchase it along with any archive collections you may have missed. It's just that easy, and you can choose whichever way works best for you. Now I want to share a few tips and tricks that I've discovered about printing out ClickPrints, and then I'm going to show you 3 ways I love to use ClickPrints to create journaling pages in my own Bible. I personally have found the Staples brand of printable vellum to give me the best results. I purchased their white vellum sheets that work in both inkjet and laser printers. It's nice and really heavy, so it stands up to all the ways that I use them over and over again. But it also has plenty of transparency to allow you to see through them for precise placement on your page. In addition to printable vellum, you will need to have some graphite paper, washi tape, and a stylus, and I do recommend a metal ball stylus for the best transfer results. Now let's get to the fun stuff, what you can actually do with ClickPrints. First way you can use your ClickPrints is to directly transfer an image to your page. Now this is the most common way of using them, so let me show you that first. For this project, I've chosen a very simple image from our February ClickPrints, and I've cut it out to make it easier to use. I've chosen the placement for it, and then I'm holding it in place with a couple of pieces of washi tape. I put the graphite paper between the line art and the page, and then I use my stylus to transfer the image onto the page. Now I want you to see this project a little bit start to finish, because even a very simple image like this can really give you dramatic results. The product that I'm using right here to create the background outline is called a Neocolor 2 Crayola. It's a water-soluble pastel that's great because it's really easy to put the color exactly where you want it, and then just with a brush and some clean water you can activate the pigment in it and pull that color out onto the page. I love working with these in my Bible, particularly because they are so simple to use and put the color exactly where you want them. Now, I'm going to let you kind of watch this project from start to finish so you can see just how easy it is to actually get a very dramatic result with something as simple as the line art that we're using of this cross. I'm going to put some music on and let you watch as I build the color up and actually create a little drama and contrast with very little effort. drama and contrast that we're able to create with just a really easy technique of adding a little bit of color around the outline. Now I want to draw attention to the verse itself, again using the Neo Color 2s and just adding a little outline around it to make them match. The page I'm working on is in 1 Peter, where God commanded us to be holy because He is holy. And that really is what I want to be the focal image of this page. So I'm going back with a contrasting color and writing the word holy inside of the negative space. Because it's so easy to work with those Neo Color 2 Crayolas, I'm able to actually put the color exactly where I want it. And now with a little bit smaller detail brush, I can go in and activate that color and fill it in and make it really nice and even. I love the contrast that putting the word holy inside that negative space gives. Now, here I'm going to show you the details that I'm adding. I'm doing a little bit of a drop shadow with a Koi watercolor marker in cool gray. This will make it look like it's indented just a little bit. And now I'm going to go in, I'm going to add the scripted word be, because for me, the takeaway from this page is to be holy. Here's what I want to say. All of us can start with the exact same piece of art, and it's all these little details and the things that you will do to make it your own that sets it apart and allows us to start with the same art but end up with something that is uniquely our own. Here are a few more details that I'm adding to draw more of the viewer's eye to that one word holy, which is the thing that really was my takeaway from this particular passage of scripture. I'm using some gold watercolor paint and I've made it really kind of soupy so it's opaque, and I'm adding some dots, and then I will go back and add some lines. Again, just adding a few details to this one word to make the page, whoever's looking at it, really understand that the holy part of it is the takeaway for it. I hope that you will take time to add your own little details, because I think that's what makes Click Prints fun for me, is that everybody starts with the same piece of art and yet it becomes their own. Here are a couple of other projects that are basically the same thing. I've just transferred the image directly onto the page in my Bible and then either use colored pencils or watercolors and colored pencils to make them my own. The second way you can use your click prints is to color the image right there on the vellum. And I gotta tell you, this has turned into one of my favorite ways to use my click prints. Because they're reprintable, you don't have to worry about using them up. So I love taking some of the bigger images and actually coloring them with my colored pencils. You can see that I have put mine over a piece of white paper so that I get really good true colors, and then I'm going in and coloring it with my colored pencils. They love blending on vellum. In fact, they like blending on vellum better than they do on Bible pages, so it's a lot easier to color these larger images. Another reason that I love coloring these images and then cutting them out is because sometimes you really need that image to pop off the page, and you wouldn't get the same effect by doing a direct transfer onto the page and then letting it kind of blend into the background, or trying to create a background that allows it to pop out. So by coloring the image first and then cutting it out, you can put it on top of a relatively busy background and it still has the impact of the image itself. So you can see here I've finished coloring the cross and I'm able to add a few details with a white gel pen, just finishing that up. And in fact, in a little bit I'm going to write part of the verse onto that ribbon or banner that is there. But again, it's so easy to color and really make an image that pops and then cut it out. Now let me give you just a little tip here on cutting these images out. I have found that when you're doing what is sometimes called fussy cutting, that our tendency is to try and turn the scissors around the paper, but if you will turn the paper and hold your scissors still, you'll get a much cleaner edge, and it's really quick and easy to get these images cut out. So just that quick, I have this wonderful cross image that I can put onto a relatively busy background that I'm going to show you how I've created. I'm using a stencil, and those of you that have taken a workshop with me or have watched very many of my videos, you know that I really emphasize that if you're going to use dye ink on your page, that you want to prep it first with clear gesso. And I'm going to tell you that for this technique, I did not prep this page with gesso. The reason that I did not is that because I'm using these stencil brushes to just brush a very small amount of the dye ink onto the page, and it is not bleeding through for me. Now, I did test it in the back of my Bible, and that's what I want to just remind you of, that even if I have said this didn't bleed through for me, it may be that your Bible pages would react a little differently. So no matter who tells you that something worked great for them, please always test the technique out for yourself. I love working with these distress inks and stippling them onto this page through the stencil and adding all of these kind of bubbles of color was really fun, and I love the effect that I got. But I'd really hate for you to try this and not get a great result, because I don't want it to bleed through for you. Mine did not bleed through. Always test it first. Now that I've got that background created, I'm going to add just a few details. I am working in Genesis chapter 5, where it talks about the fact that Enoch walked daily with God. He walked faithfully with him, and then he was no more, meaning that God just took him up to heaven. And I really was focusing on this page about the fact that I probably wondered most of my life about the part of him just disappearing and going up to God, when the part I should have been focused on is that he walked faithfully with God every day. And so I wanted that to be the focal image here, and I'm adding just a few details here to the page. Again, it's the details that make the page, this image, your own. I just wrote walk with God, because that's the important part of this story, not that God took him up and he didn't die. The important part is that he walked daily with God. I'm using a little matte gel medium to add the image to the page. I love that it pops off of that background and gives, because it's actually resting on the page and some of it curls up, you get a really nice 3D effect. Pretty cool, huh? Here's a couple of other things that I've done the same way. Again, a busy background, but you get that really great visual image right there on the page. The last way I want to share with you that you can use your click prints is by combining the images together to create something all your own. You can take a part of one and combine it with something else and make it a uniquely third image. Now, this particular floral arrangement was created with one and dones, but you can see what I'm talking about here. I used bits and pieces from different pages and put them together to build a beautiful arrangement. The project I'm going to show you today is how you can use click prints to actually create one of those great text treatments of a verse in your margin. To do that, you want to measure the width of your margin that you're going to be working with, and then on another piece of vellum, create a template for the area that you have to work with. And that's what I'm doing with this T ruler right here. Then I'm going to take bits and pieces from my click prints. Here I'm using the heart to actually trace it onto my vellum, creating a new piece of art. I know that I want to put a banner up at the top. Banners are hard for me to draw, so in the February click prints you have a whole page of these different sized banners that you can use to create these text treatments that are so cool and look great and are a great way to help us actually remember a verse that we're working on. So I'm using different pieces, and I'm going to use these little flags here to put a word inside the flags. Work with a pencil. I use a mechanical pencil, and that way you can erase as you go along. Things don't always fit right the first time, but by making a template you can work with it and figure out where you need to place each of these elements. Then you can trace it into your page for yourself. You can see I'm working out the details here for myself, and I didn't exactly like how that worked, So again, by working on a separate vellum template, you will be able to get it arranged exactly how you want it. Use bits and pieces from your various click prints, and voila, you have your own piece of line art that has been developed from your click print. That's what I have here. I'm going to transfer that now over into the margin of my Bible, the same way that I always transfer line art, by lining it up, putting it down with my washi tape, using my graphite paper and my stylus to transfer the image onto the page. My plan for this page is to really focus on the text treatment, so I'm going to use a very simple watercolor background. After I've transferred the line art, I'm going to use my Micron pen to go over all of my lines. Micron pens are permanent and will not run when you put water on top of them. So I'm going to go over my lines that I want to be outlined, and then I will go and work on doing my watercolor background. Because I really want to draw attention to the text treatment, I'm going to use a watercolor wash for the background, and I'm using a light yellow. I'm going to darken it up here in just a little bit, but I'm going to do this watercolor wash over the entire page, and I'm going to put it everywhere except for those little banner elements there. I'm eventually going to kind of create an ombre effect. I started darkening the left-hand side of the page, and then realized I needed for the yellow to be a little bit brighter, so I'm going back in with a little bit brighter color, which will eventually mean that I need to go over some of those letters again because they're being covered up with the watercolor paint. But I love this ombre effect. It again brings the eye over to the text treatment, and very simple background, very easy to do, but you can see how quickly you can put together one of these text treatments. Now I'm going to go ahead and color in these particular elements with some Kuretake watercolors that I have. I happen to like these, how vivid and highly pigmented they are, and so I'm going to do these banner elements in these particular colors. The green I loved, and it ended up being a little bit darker than I thought that it would be, so I'm going to come back in with a white gel pen, and instead of Lord being written in black, it's going to be in white, and I actually like how that ended up popping off of the page as well. You have the ability to make it your own, and it's those fun details that I think take it from line art that all of us are starting with, and it's what you bring to it and your ideas of how to make it pop. Like my crazy idea here to put these little bits of dots around the word he, but I felt like it needed a little more visual weight, and so by adding the dots, that's how I did it. I hope you see how quickly you can put one of these cool text treatments together by combining bits and pieces of art. And that's the cool thing about click prints. You take art that is delivered to you in your inbox and you make it your own. So I hope you'll come and check out click prints for yourself on illuminatedjournaling.com. Thanks, and I'll be back with another tutorial real soon.